All right, so I have an interesting question, and I'm thinking about the Detroit Lions, and I'm wondering to myself, do we have a problem at our best position? Do we have a problem in the future at our best position? I've been seeing this kind of trending around socials, trending around different articles, and just this question. So let me ask you this off the bat, and then I'm going to explain what we do here at this channel. But what do you think is our best position group? Is it offensive line? Is it defensive line? Is it running back? Is it wide receiver? Is it tight end? Is it safety, corner, linebacker? Like, give me what you believe to be our strongest position group. Leave it in the comments below. If you're new to this channel, my name's Craig. Me and my buddy Chris started this channel. I don't know what it was, 4 years ago, something like that. We love the Lions, and we wanted to start a channel talking about them. We have a couple others, but this is our baby. Like, this is where it all began, and this is by far our favorite team. This is the team we grew up loving. So we try and keep it a little non-biased. We do, but we do love the Lions. So let's talk some Lions football right now. I believe our strongest position is running back. I do. And I went in and I did a little bit of deep diving just so I could find out if other people agree with me. And I thought about what are some of our best position groups. All right. PFF has somehow the Baltimore Ravens as the best running back room. All right. And the Detroit Lions number 2. They talk about the dynamic duo of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery earns the team a high spot in these rankings. Gibbs finished 3rd among qualified running backs in his PFF grade, and 2nd behind Derrick Henry in yards per carry. How Derrick Henry never gets older, I don't understand, and I don't know if I ever will understand. But here's the thing. I think everybody around NFL circles believe Derrick Henry is the guy, like the best running back in the NFL. Then I think most people would say it's Saquon, Bijan, and then Gibbs. I think most people would have the top 3 as Saquon, Henry, Bijan in some order like that. I think they're wrong. I think Gibbs is better than Bijan, and I would rather have Gibbs on my team at this point in their career if I'm starting a franchise than any of them, if I'm being completely honest. Like, if you told me I had to pick one running back in the NFL to start my team with, I would pick Ja. I'd pick Jahmyr Gibbs. And that's not a homer pick. That is seeing the fact that he's already shockingly successful. He's young. So it's really, the question for me is between him and Bijan. And I like him more than Bijan. The other guys are toward the end of their career. And I think, man, could you imagine what Gibbs would have done with 420 touches? like Saquon? All right. Now, I looked at other positions that I thought would be good. With the loss of Frank Ragnow, this is our offensive line ranking on PFF. It has dropped all the way to 13, and that's because there's a lot of unproven talent on it. 2 of the starting positions, it's going to be, wait a minute, how good are they? Christian Mahogany, yep, had a good grade, but it was only for a couple starts. And then you're probably going to have a rookie. Okay? So there's offensive line. In fact, our defensive line, I'll show you this, rated higher than our offensive line. We are 6th in the NFL according to PFF. Again, there it is. Then I went into other rankings, running back. On CBS, they did an article where they did tiers, and we're in tier 1, Lions, Falcons, Bucks, which I think is hilarious. Dynamic duos, those are tier 1 teams. And you didn't have the Eagles or the Ravens, who were both top 4, the Eagles or the Ravens, who were both top 4 teams in the other rankings. So I think running back is our position, along with safety, that we probably have the least amount of questions. The question that we do have is, what's next? Are we worried about the future of this position? So here it is, right? You have Jahmyr Gibbs, who is 6th rated, all right, which is interesting because in the article it said 3rd. He's only 23 years old. He's probably got another 4 years of prime, his year 23, 24, 25, and 26 season, and then another 2 or 3 years of decline. So you have him pretty solid for quite some time. Then you have David Montgomery at 28. He is in the twilight of his running back career, right? That's just the way it goes for running backs. They start battling with injuries. We started seeing it last year. As a running back, it's hard to stay at the top of your game for that long. What most people don't realize is that Craig Reynolds is actually older than David Montgomery, but he just doesn't have the wear and tear on his body that David Montgomery does. So the question is, are we in trouble? Once we lose Montgomery, is Gibbs a running back who has the ability to take the load primarily to himself? Well, first off, let me have a conversation about someone else. I want to have a conversation about someone else who somehow is older than Gibbs, Sione Vaki. Again, the tread, the miles are not on him. He was a defensive player, and he's always been one of those guys. But Sione Vaki, I believe, will come in and take the role that David Montgomery currently holds. I think that makes the most sense to me. It's not Craig Reynolds, all right? It is going to be Sione Vaki. Also, running backs are pretty often readily available to get as number twos. It's not quite as easy as drafting a number 2 or number 3 wide receiver, but you look at last year's draft class, loaded with running backs. The Lions didn't take one. That means they don't see this as a problem going forward. Here's the other thing I think most people have to recognize. I was looking at Jahmyr Gibbs' contract because one of the big questions is, we're going to have to pay Gibbs. How are we going to pay Gibbs? Okay, that's great. I understand that, but we have him under contract for this year. We have him under contract for next year. And then in 2027, his age 25 season, we have him under a club option because he was a first-round draft pick, early first-round draft pick. So he's going to make some money, all right, in 2027, in 2027, his age 25 season, but he's still under contract. So he's only played 2/5, 40% of his first contract. And we're already worried about the next one. Let's not do that. Not to mention that Dan Campbell is convinced, and he's said this multiple times, he is absolutely convinced that this is the right way to handle Gibbs, is this heavy, almost 50-50 split at running back. They believe they are going to preserve him for the long haul. This is going to allow them. Look, he's 23 years old. I am telling you right now, the Detroit Lions are planning on keeping him around till he's 30, 31, 32. That is what they're planning on doing. All right? So, with that being said, what is a contract going to look like for Gibbs? Do you get ahead of it? We've talked about this with other positions. We got out ahead of a David Montgomery contract. Probably a good idea. In year 1 of the new contract, here it is knee. Right? We got out ahead of the Penei Sewell contract. We start paying him for that this year. Right? We got out ahead of the Amon-Ra St. Brown contract because we didn't want it to skyrocket. I'm going to give you some unique things on the Jahmyr Gibbs contract, but the Penei Sewell, good decision. Right? Amon-Ra St. Brown, good decision. Aleem McNeil, tore his ACL. There is always risk to getting out ahead to get the best price. Now, I want to show you something. In the NFL this year, average salary, Saquon Barkley signed a 2-year, $20.6 million deal. Christian McCaffrey in 2024 signed a 2-year, $19 million deal. These guys were 28 and 25. We just showed you when Gibbs is up for his new contract, he'll be 26 years old that year. At the age of the signing, he will be 26 years old. He might sign it even when he's 25. So those, to me, would say that it would be more like a 3 or a 4-year contract instead of a 2-year contract. You have other guys like Derrick Henry who's signing a contract worth $15 million a year on average, right? So the contract range for running backs of Jahmyr Gibbs' skill level is between $15 and $20 million. It's a lot of money for a running back, but he will be younger than all of those guys. In fact, the largest contract somebody that young has signed was Jonathan Taylor. When he was 24 years old, he signed a 3-year at $14 million a year contract. Josh Jacobs at 26, $12 million a year for 4 years. All right, it is unique to sign a contract for that 19-20. You have to prove you are the absolute best. Here's the thing that I will say about Gibbs. Let it sit and wait. I don't think you're going to have a lot of running backs that are signing $20 million contracts anymore. Saquon was a once-in-a-generation type talent. Christian McCaffrey, once-in-a-generation type talent, right? Like these guys did it completely different. Let the running back market simmer a little bit. It's going to. Last year, everybody paid running backs big bucks. Why? Why did they pay them big bucks? Because it was a horrible draft class. This year now, it's a good draft class. You didn't see any big running back contracts being divvied out. You just didn't see it. You did not. All right? The only ones I can think of, last year, Ashton Jeanty, Derrick Henry signed a contract last year. It was for $15 million, 2-year extension. Boom, $15 million a year, right? Like, that's what I'm talking about because there were a ton of running backs in the draft. Teams could readily get their hands on them. That's why it wasn't as much. All right. I don't think we have a problem at running back. I think, in fact, that is a pretty solidified position. I'm excited about Sione Vaki. I hope so because we moved up to draft him. And we'll see what he can do this preseason and training camp that starts in 1 week. All right, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.